Well, joining us now, Pulitzer Prize-winning associate editor of the Washington Post, Bob Woodward. He is co-author with Robert Costa of the book Peril, and he and Costa broke this story about the text messages. And wow, I'm not sure where to begin. I guess I'll ask you to choose among two of what I think are the biggest takeaways from it. I mean, is this a story about Ginny Thomas, or is it about a Supreme Court justice potentially being compromised in a decision that he made that he gave absolutely no reason for, and none of the other justices went that way?
Well, we're going to find out. I mean, this is a story that is starting, but what struck Robert Costa and myself is we got access to these text messages. When I walked in here with you, you had a look of wonder that I've frankly over the years never seen on your face.
It's just, but you can't write these text messages and believe in the Constitution. So there's just this massive conflict. And what has happened to this, I think, a fairly well-known Republican member of the Republican Party, Ginny Thomas?
Yes, well, she's an activist, and
yeah,
she's entitled to that. She has the First Amendment rights. But here she is playing the role of campaign manager and political consultant for the White House, coming in and talking about things that I mean, there is a self-righteous tone. We're on the moral high road. I mean, Meadows himself says this is a fight of good versus evil.
He's
and he invokes the name of Jesus, you know, King of Kings.
God.
We're going to, you know, to help in this. I guess you have to call it a crusade that they were on. So tell me about Meadows in this exchange. How do you read his texts? Is he all in with Ginny Thomas, who's clearly all in on, you know, let's just overturn this election? Is he all in on that? Is he humoring her at times? What is he?
Well, I think sometimes, I mean, White House Chief of Staff, I've written about 15 of them over the years. There's a lot of incoming. And but it's that one where he says good versus evil.
Exactly.
And this is the problem we have in our politics. And people who believe, as you point out, Mika, in the Constitution's very clear. We'll have the election. Then once we have the election, the Constitution and the Electoral Count Act make it crystal clear. It now goes to the Congress to certify the winner. And in this process, it's sacrosanct, it's clear. It was Vice President Pence who resisted all of this pressure. But here we have Ginny Thomas not just being part of the pressure campaign, but herself saying, release the Kraken.
Release the Kraken. I know the mythological release the Kraken. You know, Sidney Powell, and I mean, I'm going to call
one
her
of the Trump lawyers.
I'm going to call her a wingnut because she was the most extreme, most unhinged. By this time, Donald Trump has decided that Sidney Powell is off the rails, yet Ginny Thomas is still with him.
And yes, Ginny Thomas say, oh, make her the face in the lead of this effort.
Willie.
Yeah, Bob, she's actually reaches out to Meadows to say she does not like the disparagement that she's seen from White House officials of Sidney Powell. She's got a thing for Sidney Powell. Who knows what it is? I mean, there's so much to point to there. I would also add that when she watched Ginny Thomas, the infamous RNC press conference with Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani, yes, the one where he was sweating hair dye down his cheek, she wrote to Mark Meadows that she was brought to tears by what Rudy was doing. In a good way. She was so moved by his attempt to overturn the election. The key question, though, as you point out, is whether or not Justice Thomas shares any of these feelings, whether he knew about it, whether it affects his decisions to recuse himself or to dissent on the National Archives question. Did you find anything in your reporting, Bob, that showed he shares the views of Ginny Thomas?
We don't know that, and at the same time, the January 6th committee, as demonstrated by these texts, is very aggressive and going after the full story. I think there's going to be a question, do they want to subpoena Ginny Thomas? And that is about as delicate, I mean, you can almost hear the air vibrate when you raise that possibility.
How could they
quickly
not?
On that point, though, there is a text in which she refers to a conversation she had with my best friend.
Right.
How did you read that? Did you read that as a conversation with
He
Justice
has
Thomas?
publicly called her his best friend. And so there's an implication there, but
it seems like she's intonating toward him, but we don't know.
Exactly.
Jonathan Lemire.
And as reporters, we want to stick
to the
let's
facts.
get the story and let's find out here. But there's an audacity in these messages. There is a kind of at the end,
fervor.
she says, America is going to be lost if Biden wins. She attacks Biden and says he's part of the Biden crime family and so forth. I mean, this is what, over the years, we've all seen lots of true believers on the Republican Party, Democratic Party, left and right. But these are the people who stay behind the scenes and run campaigns. They are not out, in a sense, negotiating with the White House Chief of Staff of this is the messaging, the staffing directions, this is the strategy.
And she happens to be married to a Supreme Court justice. Jonathan Lemire has the next question.
Hey,
Jonathan?
Bob, good to see you again. Jaw-dropping reporting, nicely done. Want to get you to weigh in on something we were talking about a little earlier. We talk about this Justice Thomas, but also the bind this now puts Chief Justice Roberts in, as he has been so mindful of trying to protect the reputation of the court, trying to keep it above and out of politics, and yet politics has now landed on his doorstep.
Yes, well, I mean, this is a difficulty not just for Roberts, but for the whole court. What is going on here? What is the obligation? And the obligation, happily, is in the Constitution and the laws. And in one of these text messages, believe it or not, she says, well, we should talk to former Nixon aide Monica Crowley, and she knows how to deal with things like this. We know what happened to Nixon. And have we forgotten the lessons of Watergate? What were the lessons of Watergate? Don't tamper with and meddle with our election system. We have a system that has held its ground beautifully over the years, and to have this, to see the passion, the sense of you can only look at this one way. You know, what has happened? I mean, Gene, you've written about this almost every week. The division in our politics is so great, and it's not just on the right, it's on the left, as we know. And so who's going to find a way to turn down the temperature?